Alright, so I just did a test on if I can use Lightmatica to preserve the NBT data of this entire build, and I pasted it over here. So the results are promising, but I have to look into GT pipes because when I did this the first time with the smaller example, it preserved the MBT data of the GT pipes. So everything over here for the most part looks like it's fine. It's just the GT pipes, and I was surprised that the laser nodes are actually what's the name? I need to go and check and see if they're connected properly. But for the most part, everything is still here. Everything is still here. All the rest of this is all connected. This is all good for the most part from what I could initially see. I haven't really looked at everything, but it looks like everything is there. The only issue is of course the GT pipes. None of this is actually connected, as you can see. You know, even the modular routers, all of that is preserved. The NBT data is preserved for that. So I need to check into the GT pipes and see if there's. I know there's another setting that you could turn on for Lightmatica that preserve all of the NBT data for every single block. Um, I just have to check and see what's going on. I thought it was only going to be an issue with the laser nodes. I will still have to actually run this. I will still actually have to run this and see, run it for a while and see what's working and what's not, and see if the laser nodes are actually pulling items out and exporting items to where they need to be in the machine. But this brings me to another clarification for me. This is probably gonna be my last time building contraptions like this that fit in a chunk like this. Uh, what I'm really going to do is because of the complexity of all the guts of this machine and where everything is being routed at, it's hard to identify issues. That's the reason why I color coded all of the pipelines so I can at least trace the issues. What I'm probably going to do is go for. I'm gonna talk about this in a minute. I'm gonna go for more of a design like this, but I'll talk about what I mean by that. But if I take a flight, well, take a trip over here to to my concrete farm, the redesigned one. Right here, this one over here. I wish there was a way to fly faster. I mean, I could use the elytra and switch it to survival, but whatever. Alright, so this design is a lot more streamlined, and it's the reason why I broke down my initial concrete farm. This one over here that has my name on the side of the build. This is the reason why I took it out because I was having issues with everything or whatever, and I just streamlined the entire process and made this. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot bigger. This is I believe 4 chunks by 2 chunks, uh, but it's streamlined. So each one of these modules is designed for only one color, and that's how I have it set up in the survival world. I don't have it fully set up here, but I have color concrete on each one of these modules that represent all 16 colors. And each one of these modules, like I said, is for one in particular color. So that's probably going to be my design philosophy. Um, I'm gonna have one process uh, being completed. Whatever material that needs to be completed or whatever is gonna be one processing chain, and then I move to the next one, move to the next, move to the next one, and then when it gets to the end where I'm storing whatever product it was actually producing, I'll take that and wire that up with all the other products that are being produced, and basically spider web all of that together into a network, and that goes into the final product or whatever that's going to reproduce. And I'm going to go with what I did before with this. So from here to here, for a long time when I was well, from here to here, and then this redstone line here with the observers, that was all in basically under a half a chunk. So this is 7 blocks wide, right? And that's what I got represented down here. So from here to here is 7 blocks. And if I'm pull this out right here, you can visualize this a little bit more, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and instead of one chunks of space, I got 2 chunks. So you got this section right here and then this section right here to try to make whatever process work from beginning to end. So say if I'm making resin or whatever, right, I would need a GT, a 3x3 GT form, large form or whatever. Put that large form here, have that go I forgot what I even just said. Alright, so we making slime balls, right? So the slime balls need witch water. That's coming from the large barrel. Got the aqueous accumulator. Attach that to the large barrel, the 3x3 large barrel multi or whatever. Then have another large barrel and put the mycelial spores in there because you need the witch water and the mycelial spores together in a large barrel to make the slot take spores or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you make that there, then you send those spores into something that where it can be smelted, like a create contraption or whatever, with a fan and lava source. You know what I'm saying? To smelt that into slime balls, and then we have a secondary one to smelt the slime balls into resin, and that'll be the entire resin processing chain being completed. And say if I need another thing of resin, set up the same thing again if it's not too costly when it comes to materials, and that resin will get centrifuge or whatever it is to make rubber pulp. That'll be a whole separate chain. You know what I'm saying? And then say if I need to add the resin to the rubber pulp to something else, or turn the rubber pulp into sheets, I could just extend the rubber sheets. I could extend the lines to rubber sheets. And mind you, it's all in the linear what's and this is what I used to do back in the day, to try to explain automation to a few people that I know. You know what I'm saying? I just run everything linearly. Yeah, I don't know if that's a word, but I'm making it a word. So you can tell where something starts at, how it gets processed, and you can tell the final result in the end. But it's also easier to diagnose issues and problems, and then if I need to place a schematic into the world, it's easier to be able to fix it versus something like this that has a lot of internal moving parts to it. So that's the plan, and if I need to scale it up, I got plenty of space to scale it up and go upwards and make it as complex that I need it to be. And then I have a secondary side just in case I need to make take this and make this one entire module and make a secondary module in the second space or whatever. Or say if it needs to get a little bit more complex and I don't want to go higher than 32 blocks or 64 blocks or whatever, like straight up in the air, and I want it to be like a little bit uh even less verticality, I could just take half of it, put the other half of the processing chain in this chunk, and that'll be my space, whatever. And because I have 2 chunks, I have more space to actually work with horizontally. And I feel like that is a better design philosophy than this, even though this is good. You know what I'm saying? This is good for if you just want to load 1 chunk and that's it. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, for me to make it, no matter which way I do it, the best option that I have is Lightmatica, which is a modern version of the Schematica mine from back in the day. Um, I know it more Schematica. That's why I keep saying Schematica. Same functionality basically. My only I have 3 options to make a blueprint in my test world and in my creative world, and put it in my survival world where this build is actually going to be used. It's Lightmatica. That's the first option. That's the oldest option. Then we have create schematics with the schematic cannon. You know what I'm saying? You make the schematic or whatever, and then use the cannon to automatically build the entire contraption. The problem with create is that it doesn't preserve NBT data. There is an option. I looked through the configs. I couldn't find the option to preserve NBT data, but when I went and researched it, they said there was a way to do it, to configure it to preserve NBT data, but I couldn't find it in the config file, so I have to look again. And then the third way is the Direwolf 20 mod, building gadgets, and you can make a blueprint from the with the copy paste, and it's a block called a task manager or template manager, and you can make a blueprint that way. But that also, it preserves some NBT data, but it doesn't preserve all the NBT data. And I try to look through the configs, and it's not that many options in the configs. But it's something that I will have to take a second and thoroughly research all three. The best option I seen really is like Manica, because when I did research it, I found a subreddit or whatever, and they said that you could preserve most of the NBT data. And like I said, when I did the small little test, it preserved the data for the pipes. This right here, what I'm looking at, this section right here, that I copied it over there, it preserved all the NBT data. But there's an issue when it comes to larger builds, and maybe it's not an issue because I guess it just took a second to actually load, huh? I guess it's not an issue. Yeah, I guess it's not an issue. It just took a second to load. It's interesting. All right, so anyway, I still got to do a test. You never just count your ducks and call them complete. It's not really a saying, but I'm making it a saying. This is not outputting to this. It should have outputted to that. Is there actually one in there? There is one in there, and it should have outputted directly into this. And I don't know why it hasn't. So maybe there's some issues or whatever, or just maybe it took a second to catch up. I just have to run this for a little bit and see how well it actually operates. You know what I'm saying? See if there's any problems, and go from there. So I guess it just took a couple of seconds for it to realize everything. And all in all, it's still gonna be the same thing. This is gonna be the last build like this. Even though I like these builds, you know what I'm saying? I like this build, and I like builds like this because it's a perfect rectangle for the most part, rectangular cube. And you could tell it took a lot of design work and a lot of engineering to actually fit it in this type of space. You know what I'm saying? You could tell just by looking at it. Even if I never built this myself, if I was to load into this world or whatever and take a look at this build, I'm like, oh, they did a lot of work here. I like what they did. You know what I'm saying? Everything fits nice and neat inside of this box, and everything after this is just throwing a decoration on it. But still, I'm still gonna go with no, I like this build style as far as machinery, but I'm still gonna go with the more streamlined approach, so I can see everything and I can easily identify issues within the machine faster. So that's basically that.